Have you ever wondered why some people seem immune to chaos while others crumble at the first sign of trouble? The answer isn't in expensive courses, powerful connections, or lucky breaks. It's in a skill nobody taught you in school, that your Instagram motivational quotes don't mention, and that most entrepreneurs discover way too late: emotional control. While you're out there struggling to maintain consistency, beating yourself up for not having enough discipline, wondering why the heck you can't keep your self-confidence when things get tough, there are people building empires simply because they mastered this one skill. And here's the kicker. It's not about being cold, calculating, or suppressing feelings. It's about something way more powerful and accessible than you think. In this content, you're going to discover the secrets that separate those stuck in mediocrity from those producing extraordinary results in entrepreneurship. This isn't motivational coach theory. It's a practical guide on how to transform your emotions from enemies into allies in building the life you've always wanted. Buckle up, because what's coming next might completely change your perspective on success. You know that whole conversation about how success in entrepreneurship comes from intelligence, luck, or the right connections? Well, that story has more holes than a worn-out colander. The truth that few people have the guts to talk about is that the most underrated skill for achieving extraordinary results is something much simpler, yet revolutionary at the same time: emotional mastery. While everyone's running around chasing magic formulas and empty motivational quotes, real winners discovered that whoever controls their emotions controls their destiny. It's like having a superpower hidden in plain sight, but most people prefer to ignore it because it requires something our generation hates: real, internal work. Emotional control isn't about suppressing feelings or keeping a poker face when everything's falling apart around you. It's about developing the ability to respond instead of simply reacting, to maintain discipline even when the world seems to be conspiring against you. Imagine having the self-confidence to know that, regardless of the chaos out there, you've got the internal tools to navigate any storm. That's what separates those stuck in mediocrity from those building empires. It's not about being cold or calculating, but about having the emotional maturity to make decisions based on reason, not the impulse of the moment. When you master your emotions, something interesting happens. People start trusting you naturally. They notice you're no longer one of those people who explodes over any little thing or changes moods like they change clothes. You become that solid, reliable person that people seek out when they need someone to lead or solve complex problems. And here's the crucial point few understand. This trust others place in you starts with the trust you have in yourself. But how does this trust get built? My dear reader, that leads us to something even more fundamental. Consistency is the foundation of any solid construction in entrepreneurship, but it's also the hardest thing to maintain when life decides to test your discipline. It's that moment when you promise to wake up at 5 a.m. to work on your project, but the bed's warm and it's freezing cold outside. Doing what you committed to doing even when you don't feel like it is what separates those who build self-confidence from those who keep self-sabotaging. Every time you keep a promise made to yourself, you're depositing a coin in the bank of self-trust. And when you trust yourself, something magical happens. Other people also start trusting you naturally. It's like they sense you're someone who keeps their word, who doesn't disappear at the first difficulty or change their mind like someone flipping TV channels. But here's the trick nobody tells you about. Consistency doesn't have to be perfect from day one. What matters is identifying where you're failing most and starting to repair that hole before it becomes an abyss. Because when you manage to be consistent in one area of life, that energy spreads like a good virus to all other areas. Look, everyone's got that one area of life that seems like a minefield of inconsistency. It could be your health that you swear every Sunday you'll take better care of, finances that are always on thin ice, relationships you keep putting aside, or those projects you start all pumped up but never finish. The real deal here is having the courage to look in the mirror without Instagram filters and admit, dang, this is where I'm failing hard. Identifying your biggest area of inconsistency isn't an exercise in punishing yourself or wallowing in empty motivational quotes. It's about having the self-confidence to recognize you've got a specific problem that needs urgent attention. It's like when a doctor identifies exactly where it hurts so they can treat it, you know? You can't fix what you pretend doesn't exist. And that denial is what keeps most people stuck in the same place year after year. When you finally identify that black hole in your life and decide to start repairing it, something interesting happens with your overall discipline. It's like you found the end of the thread, and by pulling that string, all the mess starts organizing itself. The emotional control needed to face that problem area becomes a muscle you can use in any challenge that comes your way. Here's a truth that should be stamped in neon on every entrepreneur's wall. You don't control absolutely anything that happens out there. The economy can crash, clients can ghost you, suppliers can leave you hanging, a pandemic can pop up out of nowhere. But you know what you'll always be able to control? Your presence, your consistency, your decision to show up every single day, regardless of circumstances. This mindset of focusing on what's controllable is what transforms regular people into results machines. While everyone's wasting energy complaining about the government, the economy, unfair competition, or whatever excuse of the moment, you're right there standing firm, doing your part with unshakable discipline. It's like that person who hits the gym even in rain, cold, heat, or with a hangover, because they understood that their emotional control over their actions is worth more than any external circumstance. The secret that masters of entrepreneurship discovered is simple but revolutionary. The more you focus on what you can control, the more self-confidence you develop. And the more self-confidence you have, the less external storms can shake you. But there's a powerful psychological trick that can amplify this emotional stability even more. Imagine your life like a house with several separate rooms, one for work, another for health, another for relationships, another for finances. Now here's the question that'll change everything. When there's a problem in the kitchen, do you need to burn down the entire house? Of course not. But that's exactly what most people do when they don't master the art of compartmentalization. The discipline of not letting failures in one area contaminate all the others is what keeps successful people producing results, even when part of life is crumbling. Had a fight with your girlfriend? Cool. That's the relationship room. Don't let that negative energy invade your business meeting in a bit. Lost an important sale? No sweat. Don't take out that frustration by making horrible food choices or skipping your workout. This ability to create emotional walls between different areas of life is pure emotional control in practice. It's having the self-confidence to know that a failure in one area doesn't define you completely, and that you can maintain consistency where it matters, even when other parts are on fire. And when you take this concept to the professional environment, that's when the real magic happens. Here's a golden rule that should be tattooed on every entrepreneur's forehead. In the professional environment, the only emotion allowed is celebration, drama, frustration, gossip, complaints, emotional venting, all that stays outside. Because the moment you allow these energies to invade your workspace, you're sabotaging your own results. Think about it. When you let the workplace turn into a ring of uncontrolled emotions, productivity goes down the drain, discipline disappears, and consistency becomes a joke. It's impossible to maintain focus on objectives when everyone's more worried about processing feelings than delivering value. Emotional control here isn't about being a robot. It's about understanding there's a time and place for everything, and the office isn't a therapy session. When you establish this clear boundary that only constructive energy enters the workplace, something powerful happens. The team's self-confidence skyrockets, because everyone knows that's a sacred space for focus and production. People stop wasting energy on petty drama and start channeling everything toward what really matters, generating results. But this emotional regulation goes beyond what you feel. It also profoundly affects how you communicate. The way you communicate can build or destroy all your credibility in entrepreneurship, and most people don't even realize they're sabotaging themselves every time they open their mouths. When you start sentences with, "I think that," or "I feel that," you're basically asking the other person to question everything you're about to say. It's like you're putting an asterisk of doubt on top of your own words yourself. The discipline of speaking based on data, on concrete facts, on measurable results, that's what demonstrates real emotional control and self-confidence. Instead of saying, "I think this strategy will work," you say, "The data shows this approach generated 40% more conversions in 3 previous tests." Feel the difference? One sentence makes you seem insecure, the other positions you as someone who knows exactly what they're talking about. And there's another powerful trick few people master: the art of the strategic pause before responding. That deep breath before speaking isn't a sign of hesitation. It's a pure demonstration of emotional consistency and maturity. You're not reacting, you're responding with intentionality, and that completely changes how people see you. But when you mix business with family, communication needs an even more refined level. Mixing family with business is like walking a tightrope over a river full of piranhas. It can work out, but any slip becomes a tragedy. The golden rule here is simple, but requires iron discipline. All conflicts are resolved backstage, away from the eyes of the team and clients. When you and your business partner, who's also your brother, disagree on something, that fight can't become a public spectacle. The self-confidence of a family business depends directly on the capacity to maintain a unified, professional front, even when it's on fire inside. It's having the emotional control not to take out frustration with your cousin at the team meeting, not to turn family dinner into a shareholders' assembly. The results of your entrepreneurship can't be held hostage by dysfunctional family dynamics that everyone carries around. The secret that separates successful family businesses from those that turn into soap operas is consistency in separating roles. At the company, you're a partner. At home, you're family. And these identities can't mix like oil and water. This compartmentalization protects both the business and the personal relationship. But even when you do everything right, there'll still be people judging you and putting labels on you. Brace yourself for this reality bomb. People are going to doubt you. They're going to label you. They're going to create crazy narratives about your intentions, and there's absolutely nothing you can do to stop it. The difference between those who get paralyzed by these opinions and those who build empires comes down to one word: focus on results. While others are busy creating conspiracy theories about you, you're busy delivering value and building something real. The discipline here is brutal but liberating. Stop trying to control the narrative others create about you and concentrate all your energy on being so good at what you do that results speak louder than any gossip. It's having the emotional control to hear someone call you crazy, too ambitious, a dreamer, and simply keep building while they keep talking. True self-confidence doesn't come from being loved by everyone. It comes from knowing you're on the right path even when nobody understands. And here's the mental trick that completely changes the game. Learn to reframe negative labels in your favor. They called you ambitious? Great. Ambition moves mountains. They called you a workaholic? Wonderful. Consistency builds empires. In entrepreneurship, often what mediocre people call a flaw is exactly the quality that'll take you to the top. But even understanding this, there's still the most important question. At the end of the day, you'll realize a liberating truth that should be taught from early on. The labels they put on you simply don't matter when you're generating real results. They can call you whatever they want, create the most absurd stories, spread the most creative rumors, but none of that changes the numbers in your bank account, your client's satisfaction, or the impact you're making in the world. Supreme self-confidence comes when you understand that effectiveness and production of results are worth infinitely more than social approval. It's having the discipline to wake up every day knowing some people will hate you, others will love you, and most won't care about you at all. And that's totally fine. The emotional control here is accepting you weren't born to be everyone's favorite. You were born to be efficient, to deliver value, to build something that makes a difference. So let them judge, let them talk, let them create their crazy theories while you're busy being consistent in building your dreams. In entrepreneurship, whoever's too worried about others' opinions never gets anywhere. But whoever focuses on results ends up creating motivational quotes without even trying. Because in the end, success is the best answer to any criticism. So tell me something. After everything you just discovered here, what's your excuse now? You saw it's not about having more time, more money, or more luck. It's about having emotional control, discipline, and consistency to apply what you just learned. The burning question is, are you going to be just another one who consumes content and does nothing? Or will you be that rare person who actually implements and transforms their life? Think about it. How much time have you already wasted blaming circumstances, waiting for the perfect moment, postponing your decisions because you didn't feel ready? What if I told you that every day that passes without you applying these principles is one less day, building the self-confidence and results you want so badly in entrepreneurship? Hurts, doesn't it? But that's the raw truth nobody has the guts to tell you. Here's the challenge. Choose today one area of your life where you're being inconsistent and start repairing that hole. Not tomorrow, not Monday, today. Because all this wisdom you absorbed here is worth zero if it stays just theory. And if you want to keep receiving this type of content that truly transforms, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Because while others are looking for shortcuts and empty motivational quotes, you'll be here learning what actually works. So are we building this empire, or are you just going to keep watching others build theirs?